Suspense. It's the driving force behind every great thriller and horror movie. Miss this essential element and your screenplay falls flat, but master it and no one will be able to put it down. In this video, I'll reveal the secrets to crafting nail-biting suspense, the biggest mistake writers make, and the techniques that will keep your audience hooked until the very end. Disclaimer, this video will be spoiling Get Out, The Sixth Sense, and Season 2 of Dexter. The definition of suspense is a feeling of excitement or anxious uncertainty about what may happen. To me, every movie in existence is a suspense thriller. From The Wizard of Oz to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the most important element of any story is that the audience is always wondering what's going to happen next. But there's one simple mistake writers make that ruins their suspense. It kills all the tension and the audience just stops caring. To show you what I mean, let me tell you a joke. So a man's car breaks down near a farm, and the farmer offers him a room at night, but he warns him, don't go into the barn at night. Curiosity gets the better of him.
There's a talking horse in the barn.
Seriously?
What?
You just ruined my joke.
Oh, sorry.
Now that you know the punchline right off the bat, there's no reason for you to hear the rest of the joke. You don't care. If anything, you'll just be impatient, wondering, when is this gonna be over? This is the mistake so many writers make. If you give the audience the answer too soon, they lose interest. The secret to suspense lies in making the audience ask questions. But how do you do that? Let me show you with one of the most suspenseful films of the last decade.
Get out. Sorry, man.
Okay.
Get out!
This movie maintains tension from start to finish. Jordan Peele doesn't just hand you all the answers right away. With every single scene, he gives you a new piece of the puzzle. The strange behavior of the house staff, the mom literally hypnotizing Chris into another dimension, and you know, the blatant racism.
So, is it true? Is it better? Wow.
Every moment leaves us wondering what's going to happen here, and by the time we see the big reveal at the end, everything clicks into place for us. Rose's family kidnaps black people and extracts their brains and puts them into old people so that they can live longer while the original person is still trapped inside of their own minds. Wow, okay. It's horrifying, but it's also satisfying because the movie rewards us for paying attention. This is what makes Get Out so effective. It keeps us asking questions without giving anything away. But how do you do this in your own screenplay? Let's say you're writing a story about a mother and her son. The audience doesn't know it yet, but the son is actually possessed by a demon. This changes everything about the way you write him. He might do strange things like sleepwalking into the woods at night or staring at strangers for an uncomfortably long time. All these details make the audience uneasy. They don't know what's going on, but they can sense that something isn't right. Once the truth is finally revealed at the end, it all comes together in a way that's both surprising and logical. This is the key to any big twist. In The Sixth Sense, the fact that Bruce Willis is a ghost doesn't just come out of nowhere. The movie leaves subtle clues along the way, like how no one interacts with him directly, that they only make sense in hindsight. The key is to give your characters a secret, one that actually drives the story forward, and then drop little clues throughout that make your audience pause and wonder. And here's the thing, you don't need to know the secret right when you start writing. Like, you might discover it halfway through. That's fine. This is what rewriting is for, because once you know the twist, you can go back and plant clues that might seem innocuous at first, but they take on a whole new meaning after this big reveal. You want to foreshadow the ending without the audience actually knowing you're foreshadowing. Give them just enough to wonder, wait, was that important? This curiosity is what's going to keep them watching. But creating suspense isn't just about big twists. It's about keeping your audience fearful about what could happen next. Let's look at Get Out again because it is a masterclass in doing this. Through this whole clip, we're on the edge of our seats, you know, and we're wondering, why is he running like that? What's he gonna do with Chris? Is he gonna hurt him? Is he gonna kill him? Like, what's going on? The tension skyrockets, and then just as we're bracing for impact, he veers off in the opposite direction. Instead of relief, we're left just wondering, like, wait, if he wasn't gonna hurt Chris, then What was that whole thing about? This unanswered question keeps the suspense going long after that immediate danger is gone. And that's the key to suspense. Keeping the audience uncertain where they're constantly fearing the worst, even if nothing happens. So how do you do this in your own writing? One of the most effective ways is to introduce an element of danger, something that raises the stakes for the characters and the audience. Take a heated argument between two characters. Like alone, these are just words, but give one of the characters a knife and suddenly the stakes have completely shifted. Now, there's an implicit threat. It doesn't even have to be a knife. It could be a gun on the table, or a frayed wires sparking in the background, or even just an ominous sound coming from the next room. Anything that hints at potential danger can keep your audience on edge. Your goal isn't to show the danger outright, it's to make the audience feel it. That's what keeps them glued to the screen, holding their breath for what might happen next. Let's reverse that though. Instead of focusing on what your audience doesn't know, what if you take advantage of what they do know? This is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal as a screenwriter. This keeps the audience gripping their seats, completely engrossed in whatever's happening on screen. Take Dexter, for instance. Throughout the whole series, we know he's a serial killer, but nobody in his world does. This very thing completely defines how we watch the show from start to finish. For instance, there's an episode where the cops call Dexter in. They have his blood slides. They're suspicious.
Please sit down. I'm sure that you heard we have a suspect in the Bay Harbor butcher case. We need answers. Now.
Explain it to us. Trophies.
Even the way it's phrased there, explain it to us, it's all congruent with Dexter being caught. But then the reveal comes.
Our primary suspect is someone you know well. Sergeant James Dokes.
Sergeant Dokes.
Imagine if we didn't know that Dexter was the Bay Harbor butcher. This scene wouldn't hit nearly as hard because we wouldn't feel the weight of his potential downfall. The suspense is created because we, the audience, know more than the characters on screen. To them, there's nothing to worry about because Dexter's just an innocent lab geek. But to us, he's a serial killer. Their questioning is very clever because it works both if they do suspect him or if they don't suspect him. Alfred Hitchcock famously refers to all this as the bomb under the table. You know, two men talking about baseball in itself is boring, right? But if the audience knows there's a bomb under the table about to go off, that same conversation becomes unbearably tense. It's the anticipation of the explosion, not the explosion itself, that creates suspense. While these two guys are just sitting there talking about baseball, we're going, would you get out of there, you morons? There's a bomb under the table. To see how this works, take a hilariously bad scene from The Room.
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Now, I'm gonna show you the clip again, but this time, I want you to imagine Johnny is a trained assassin with poison on his hands, and the dog's owner is gonna die as soon as she pets the dog.
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay, it's still a pretty bad scene, but there is an element of suspense, an underlying tension that makes it just slightly more watchable, and that's the whole point. There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. So how do you practice this yourself? Write a boring scene, two people doing something mundane, like a dad teaching his kid to ride a bike down a hill. Then add a twist. Maybe the dad doesn't realize there's a cliff at the bottom of the hill, but we do. Suddenly, this routine moment becomes a nail-biting horror show as the audience waits to see what will happen next. Just by being aware of what your audience knows and doesn't know, you will be able to create amazing suspense that leaves them on the edge of their seats the entire time. Creating suspense is one of the most powerful ways to captivate your audience, but even the most immersive suspense won't save your screenplay if you're still making the biggest mistakes that most screenwriters make. And these aren't the typical mistakes you've probably heard over 100 times by now. These mistakes are about how to actually improve as a screenwriter and finally write your screenplay without freaking out about perfectionism or self-doubt. Click here to learn what these mistakes are and how to avoid them. Because trust me, you'll wish you knew these sooner.